Welcome back. Alright, so now you might almost think this would be better if I just wrote like a book or something, but I'm not going to go too far into details. I don't know if you can tell it, but my stupid desk light is flickering, but of course it's like really old. It's like, you know, like 20, 30 years old or something. I had this in my room since I don't know, since 1990 or something. Anyways, so where were we? Okay, so now we're gonna make the leap, right? So maybe, is it possible that the King of the Gnomes could have started bribing Max to like work in the mines, but not like treat him bad, but in order to be able to take over stuff. So maybe he's actually the big mastermind behind everything, or at least at this point, anyways. Because when we come to the modern time, or you know, the current time in Enchanted Lands, he's gonna actually be doing stuff for him too. So, you know, so how does that work? Where's the connection? When does Max first get the idea that how does he get the idea that he can control people with Quicksilver anyways? See, you know, that's one of those things that I didn't actually think of when I first came up with the characters and the story and all that, right? Okay, because so in the past he wanted to take over Enchanted Lands, right? And of course the motivation is just, you know, power control and all that stuff. That's not a problem. My problem is, how do I get from you know, he might know about Quicksilver. That doesn't necessarily mean, yeah, I'm messing with the light, so it's because it's flickering and it's annoying me. So what is Max do that gives him the idea, hey, maybe I could do this on people, right? Maybe I can get them to, I have an idea. The King of the Gnomes is amused by Max and allows him to come in and play with gems and do whatever he wants in the mines, in the gnomes' own mines. So we have that, and okay, so well, all right. Get annoyed having to fool around with this stuff here, but okay. So what was I thinking? Okay. Max learns that the gnomes use a potion that is derived from Quicksilver that essentially zombifies people. We'll say Enchanted Lands residents. Okay, and by zombified we mean completely without their own will, their own free will. Meaning completely without their own free will, and makes them work their minds. So the gnomes don't even work their own minds. The dwarves do, right? But the gnomes don't. And so, you know, they essentially, you know, from years ago, maybe an old witch or something gave them this potion. So, Max feels he can use this to his advantage because he wants to rule Enchanted Lands. So you know, there isn't. So really, the only thing that I wanted to do here was to make the leap from how does Max, just being a person, a normal citizen, decide he wants to decide that Quicksilver might be made to give people magic ability. And what can he do with that? Well, he figures that if they're zombified but they have magic, that he can control control Enchanted Lands, right? Okay, so I think as far as his backstory goes, I think we'll leave it there, because more of the backstory is the fact that he attempts to take over Enchanted Lands. He gets thwarted by Halfway and the King, and he doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have the proper plan. He was trying to raise an army, and basically, okay. So maybe I should write that in like a brief little synopsis of what's transpiring to get us to the current date, right? Okay. So eventually, Max sets out to see if he can imbue magic on the general citizenry of Enchanted Lands by experimenting with Quicksilver. And I know this is kind of heavy for a lighthearted game. We won't go actually too much into the experiments and stuff. Just know that that they're captured and stuff's happening to them. And in our current game, John helps to free the slaves who are now working for Max in the current time period or whatever. Okay, so sets out to see if you can with an attempt to take over the land. Okay. He eventually gets thwarted by Halfway, the King, and a few other people. Count Roy being one. And Roy is actually a vampire, and although they're kind of not what you think, right? In Enchanted Lands, they're not what you think. But Count Roy and Halfway have been friends for a long time, and this is part of it. He actually helps them, but so right. So they decide to banish Max from the sunny nexus between worlds. Decide to banish Max from the... Okay. Actually, this is kind of cool too. I don't really have a story, but I kind of have a little support, a little background. Okay, so basically at one time, someone from one of the worlds somehow discovers this nexus, which is kind of this spot, and it's actually he manages to go through a portal, and we'll say that there's Quicksilver in other realms, but in really small quantities, and so he manages to get through a portal into this nexus, and this nexus, there's land that it's basically ground with Quicksilver, and it's sunny because there's light everywhere, but there's nothing there. And so through time, this guy, the original discoverer of the nexus between worlds, creates Enchanted Lands, and by digging out the Quicksilver and just making buildings, and eventually people come from different realms and populate it, and so on and so forth. Anyways, that's just a little aside that I thought up or whatever. Okay, so they decided to banish Max from the Sunny Nexus, but he still manages to get away with a small piece of Quicksilver. Now, we'll kind of leave it there, and when I go to my next story videos, we'll continue with Max, and we'll figure out, we'll decide what his plans are. I mean, we kind of know because of the story, because when he comes back disguised as somebody else. In fact, I might not do Maximilian's, not just because it sounds corny, but because it's pretty obvious who he is. So if you don't, not watching these videos, but you play it for the first time, maybe you don't want to know, you're not going to know who he is anyways, but that makes it a little bit obvious. So, let's close that. When Max returns, he comes incognito. He's got some of his bases covered. He's got Violet Moonshadow, which is his right-hand woman. She's an enchantress, and she actually steals part of Halfway's magic, and then we got Barty, King of the Gnomes, who's his muscle, and so. And then this time, he decides he wants to build a big, huge machine that will open portal large enough to march armies through. But so not only does he want to do the army thing again, this is a zombified magic army, he also wants to open portal big enough that he can go into different realms and start conquering them. And that's what our guys have got to thwart. So in the next video, I'm going to get into his goal. His goal, of course, is to conquer all the realms that connect to Enchanted Lands through these portals built with this machine that uses Quicksilver to power it. And I'll go through and I'll do the plot outline, kind of like the 3-act movie structure thing, where I'll just give a general plot outline from Max's point of view, like what he wants to accomplish, and then later on we'll fill in the in between spots, in between the plot points, the actual gameplay part, the puzzles and stuff, and the exploring and all that good stuff. So thanks for watching. Thanks for bearing with my boring talking and my I still don't like listening to my own voice because it sounds kind of nasally and kind of teenage and weird and whatever. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.